was very struck by your pointing out that there is the social dimension of disasters, etc. So I think the terms disaster management or even environmental science, as we call it, is a really anthropogenic term. If there were no human beings in the way, it would be biology and geology. It is only the presence of humans and human society and seeing it from the point of view how it relates to us that makes it a disaster or an environmental issue. So, of course, there is always the social dimension. And I think important part that you drew attention to perhaps need to be engaged with further, and that's the significance of economics. We know a lot about the environment, I think, but in this country, and I think globally as a discipline, environmental economics deals with very simple ideas of simplistic ideas of how economics works. And some of the most obvious nostrums of neoclassical economics are the basis on which a lot of the subject is founded. And I think we have a serious problem here, and which we are not always able to deal with. And one of the things in this context, extending Dr. Nair's drawing attention to collective action, etc., is the fact that the economics is not simply about buying and selling, the commodification or otherwise of services and things like that, of a give and take kind of calculus, but I think it's more importantly about the whole structure of production in society. And there I think we run into territory which is more difficult than simply a cost-benefit kind of calculus in economics. So production, the way production is structured, the way our society works to produce goods and services is not always governed by what we want society to be like. Otherwise, then life would be very simple. We simply change our minds as to how things should be, and they will be so. Unfortunately, life is not like that. So we really need to understand why is it the way things are the way they are. Not, of course, we all agree that it is far desirable that things are very different. We want a new world in terms of variety of requirements. But why is the world the way it is? And I think uh, I would say we must resist the temptation to take a moral view always of the past. So not an anachronistic view. We judge the past by the standards of the present and present knowledge. In many other fields of science and social sciences, we have given this up. But unfortunately, in the environment, we cannot resist the temptation of casting a moral eye on the past. And this is a complement of something that historians call the Whig view of history. You talk of the scientific and industrial revolution. It's the story of unmitigated success. Everything sort of forethought and, planned out in the best possible manner, So a story of unrelenting success and advance. Obviously, people do not take that seriously anymore. Unfortunately, we have a sort of reverse of this kind of thing currently. In terms of the reverse of this, we seem to have ended up in the environment, which is an unrelentingly negative view of the past. So when you say change, change has many meanings to all sections of people. And in a democratic polity, if we want to engage with change, it is that the industrialist thinks of himself as change, the new tourist developer thinks of himself as change. There are varieties of changes. So we need a deeper inquiry into whose change, what change. And I think there the questions I suggest begin to look a little more complex. I agree with you that of the absolute necessity of engaging with them. And I certainly agree that the foundations of this lie in good science, science that enhances resilience. But I think the wickedness of the problem lies in the nature and structure of what society is and what interests are and why society functions, especially in economic terms, the way it does. So I think, nevertheless, I think we have a broad outline here for building on in the next couple of days, and I hope the themes that Professor Nair has raised so elegantly will be taken up and discussed in the sessions we have ahead of us.